like making muffins, right?
So this week we did a lot of body work. Not only did we do all the body putty sanding, we did a lot of priming and blocking. We kind of like to do this polyester primer, the rust defender sanding with dry. It just seems to cut better when you're doing the rougher sanding. We sand it with 80 and then 150, took it back in the booth and reprimed it. And then we started cutting again with 150, guide coated it, 250, guide coated it, 320 dry. And then that's all the sanding we're gonna do until we paint the car next week.
This is a young man's job, not an old man's job, but it's a lot of fun to do.
So in this build, we have the WD-40 guys helping out, and we can't thank these guys enough.
Good morning.
Little Jonathan's been zooming around this thing like the Energizer Bunny. I looked yesterday, I couldn't find him. I thought he was off taking a break, and he was underneath the car, standing at the bottom of the valance with a sanding block above him and somebody else sanding on top of him. So we suited him up, gave him a mask, got him in there, and started spraying. He had a blast.
I like to consider myself a DIYer. So this is a great experience to learn, and working with these guys is amazing because they're so knowledgeable, they really are.
John's got a few little extra years on little young Jonathan, but he's also sanded a little bit before and done body work in the past, and it shows. He's not too fast, but he's steady, that's all that matters.
Some things young men do better than older men. Sanding is one of them.
A break in the action lets the guys check in with our owner via live video feed at the fire station.
Hey Ty, how you doing today?
Fine, how are you?
Good. Been working really hard on your car. We got a whole bunch of guys standing behind me that came from all over the country to work on your car. Everybody say hello to Ty, Tammy, Trisha. I know they all start with T, but the other guy's Bubba.
Hi. I appreciate you guys being there.
So behind me is the group of volunteers that came in to help build your car for week 2. We got guys from all over the area. I don't think we've got out of here before 11 o'clock any night this week. We're not gonna let you see the car with all the work that we've done, which we've done a crazy amount of work on this thing. And in my mind, a Mopar muscle car is not a true Mopar muscle car without something that they call a Hemi.
Oh my gosh.
Show them what we got, guys.
A Hemi? Holy cow. That is crazy.
Tell them what you put together for them.
Basically, we have a late model 5.7 truck motor that we've stroked out to 392 cubic inches. Modman Indy intake, whole comp cams valve train. We're gonna run the fast dual self-learning throttle bodies on top, so you got everything you need to make big power, but the ease of just hitting the key and going. Should be a nice 500 horse motor.
Ty, what do you think about getting behind something with 500 horsepower? You ever done it before?
That's gonna put out 500 horsepower?
If not a little more.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Okay, so my chances of driving it is over.
Yeah.
So, hey, Bubba, you think your dad's gonna let you drive his 500 horsepower hot rod?
He should, since we went and bought it originally for me, and then I gave it to him, so I should get to drive it first, since I gave him the car.
I was just a little worried because I know we talked to Ty when we picked the car up, and he's like, oh, I want like a 318, 360, maybe fuel injection, you know, something cool. You know, when you get the horsepower guys involved, they want to throw everything at it and a bag of hammers. They built a Hemi, man. You got to be, that's pretty exciting.
Guys, I want to thank you again for working on my car. It means so much to me. I can't say thank you enough, or I don't know how to say thank you enough that you guys can understand how much it means to me.
Okay, man. We'll see you later.
See ya.
See ya.
Next, trouble in the dyno cell makes for one nervous build leader.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Shut it up. Get it? We've got all kinds of a cast of characters in here this week.
Boo! I'm a Chevrolet fella.
But we've actually got a dude in here that goes by Puddin' Weasel. I don't even know if I want to know what that means. But he's kind of a young guy. He's 19 years old.
He's my little brother, I guess you could say.
His cousin Ira gave him a job at his custom shop, Wicked Mickey's in Eastern Kentucky.
Just my friend called me Puddin' one day and it just took off from there.
Puddin' Weasel, say it, it's fun. He knocked it out of the park when it come to sanding and prepping and doing a little filler work. And I go, hey Puddin', you ever sprayed anything? He goes, no, they never let me spray stuff at the shop. I don't know what Ira just keeps him chained up and lets him loose whenever it's time to sand stuff.
I like it because it's precise. You gotta be patient, you gotta watch what you're doing.
I mixed up some Raptor, gave Puddin' a mask and a suit again. Puddin' Weasel crawled underneath there, and he did an awesome job and had a blast doing it. Every time he come out of the booth with his paint mask and he took it off, he had a grin from ear to ear.
Well, man, I ain't supposed to sweat.
Then you got this guy named Phil.
My back is itchy.
He talks a little different, I guess.
I can't do it.
Well, I say he's from Memphis, but he says he's from Memphis.
I want it to be as right as it can be for when they get ready to put the paint on it. I want the car to be, and I want him to look at it and say, hey, they meant business when they built our car.
So we got a little Chromer Premier from DuPont base coat here. Ready to see the color?
Yeah.
Bang, look at that.
Look at that.
You gotta be able to see that baby coming.
Yeah.
We're gonna get some color on the door jambs, on the door shells, on the inner sides, inside the trunk jamb, the firewall, inside the inner fender wells. Finally, color on the car. Yeah, baby.
Hopefully this is the slowest this thing will ever go from now on.
Yeah, we'll push it out a little bit slower.
Yeah.
Over in the dyno cell, the time has come to learn whether the stroked Hemi meets Mike and John's expectations.
To me, this is the most unique part of this whole build. Now what we did was take an Indy cylinder head Modman intake and we adapted 2 easy EFI throttle bodies. Now as far as we know, this is the first setup like this. We went ahead and designed this plate in-house and had Neely Precision do the machine work. Now this is a self-learning EFI system, and what's really cool about it is we're able to tuck the fuel lines down to a Y block that's mounted on the intake to keep everything nice and tight and hidden away. Now speaking of that, look at where the coil packs are. They're mounted underneath the intake manifold, and we're going to be able to run plug wires to the valve covers. That'll give us that old nostalgia Hemi look with the latest EFI.
16 Excel silver tip plugs for spark, the MSD ignition box, some well-labeled wire connections for the fast EFI, all managed by a handheld controller. Royal purple will keep things slick and protected. Time to set engine parameters and make a few selections for performance. With strong oil pressure,
It caught oil pressure that time.
the fuel pressure is set at 46 psi.
You ready, bud?
Yeah. Let's see.
Here comes fuel.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Shut it up.
A slight gas leak,
Give me the adjustable.
an easy fix.
Oh wow, I did go further.
But lacking spark, not easy to find. Electrical issues can take hours, sometimes days to track down. And Tim needs to install this Hemi now.
I don't want to hear like a recorded soundtrack playing with some speakers so I can hear it down the hallway. I want a real motor running.
He doubts everybody.
No, just that guy.
I don't know why anybody wouldn't have faith in a guy like me.
All right, move on. We got to finish this up.
After over an hour of tracing and checking connections and software, it came down to this: a possible faulty CO2 sensor. At least they hope so.
Ready? Yeah.
Man. Man.
Give me it. Give me it.
Man. Yeah. Oh my God,
That was a pain.
that was a week and a half of hell, man. Holy smokes.
All right.
With the normal warm-up and break-in period, this self-learning system tunes with each run.
493, 455. She's sealing up on the rings. Their fuels are getting even closer.
That in there running? Listen to that.
Look at that idle. She's nice. Nice and smooth. Throttle response is unbelievable.
Yeah, that sounds nice. That sounds nice. That literally gave me goosebumps.
Yes, sir. Look, it's still climbing.
525, 471. Subframe connectors and strut tower brakes.
And a roll cage.
The sound of horsepower, there's nothing like it.
You get a hug too?
Yeah.
Good job, man. Now we just got to get it run once it's in the car.
That's your job.
Coming up, from concept to the real deal, the Challenger gets its new skin. Stay tuned.
So here we are at the beginning of week 3. The car has been blocked, primed, and jammed. Today, the cameraman's favorite, more sanding.
And they're doing so with a new set of Alls. painting pros who have shut down their own booths to pitch in on our WD-40 sponsored Challenger. A few men pulling double duty on this one.
We're just here for the start, we might as well be here for the finish.
This is another great group. We're getting along great. It's first day in.
Start drying it off and guide coat it.
Everybody gets along right away.
Quit that. Let's dry this off.
We're acting like we worked together 20 years.
So the end of this week, we're gonna have it all painted and cleared and all wet sanded and buffed, or cut and rubbed that we call it. We'll get it all polished, and then we'll bring it back out and we'll start throwing parts on this thing.
Several others returned from previous builds, like Jake Pearson from Extreme Restorations and Jason Anderson representing Anderson Classics and Customs.
What we're doing here is getting this car ready, doing some wet sanding, getting it ready to go in the booth. So Tim can do a couple coats of yellow on it, try to get it done this afternoon and bake it so we can get another start on it in the morning.
Well, I looked down the sides after we sanded it with 600. 600 gets it kind of shiny. You can kind of see it. And it looks like a sack full of doorknobs, so I'm starting back with 220 grit, trying to get it flat.
Helping make it right is Texan Andy Stapp of Airbrush Extreme.
Apply some guide coat here. This will help basically map out our bodywork and priming. That's a perfect example right there. All the black areas are our low areas. The ideal situation is that we run across this, all black area is removed after just a couple of swipes, and then it's nice and slick. But maybe we've got enough primer here that we can slowly block this out and then bring it all back to our, what they call a buff color, and keep pushing forward.
One of those things, I think all of us guys that build cars for a living,
It's a lot better.
Either have a slight touch or a whole lot of OCD in us that none of us would have been able to sleep at night knowing that that car wasn't straight. So we just put some guide coat on. You can see it keeps cutting through a little bit here. There was a big low spot right there, and they were high and high here. So we're just going across with something that doesn't flex too much. These cars are kind of hard anyway because they got this curve the whole way. Then it's got this weird dog leg right here, so it's got all the little curves, but we're sticking it, and I think we'll save it. So we'll get paint on this thing yet today. Let's roll this thing in the booth, guys. Pretty good. So far, I think it looks awesome. We're just working, and you kind of forget to stand back. The end of week 2 last week, it was bare metal when all those guys came in. We got it bodyworked, primed and blocked, fit, finished, blow apart, painted, chassis took apart, chassis painted, motor built, motor dynoed, all that back together and back in. If we had the brakes and the front rotors, it'd be a rolling car right now. Okay, I got Jake and Jason getting ready to spray the sealer in the booth on the Challenger. Since we're spraying yellow, yellow is kind of notoriously a bad covering color. So we've got this light colored cream beige color left over from a couple of the other jobs. Simply gonna put a couple coats on that, get a nice even in the same color spectrum as the yellow is. Then I found some other yellow back there, so I mixed it so we kind of got this banana pudding looking color on it as a base. And then we're gonna start laying the stripes. Dell Swanson is the artist on this project that did the rendering for us. And man, I couldn't be happier with the artwork that this guy did. Me and him kind of talked about the color, style, and the design of the stripes that we wanted. It's gonna be a brighter yellow, of course. You've seen the colors on the jams. Once all these painters get together in the booth, what do you think here?
Hanging out, coming to trail.
Coming up to here, everybody's got an idea.
I'm thinking flame it.
Flames.
So we all talk together, we all bounce them off each other.
I think it'd look better coming
I
out here.
agree. I think so too. We laid out one side, but man, then it just takes forever to match the other side and get the curves and the angles the same way. We masked off, sprayed a blue that's gonna be the separating color. So then we covered up that blue, and we pulled off where we needed to, sprayed just the charcoal, let that dry, covered that up with paper and tape, and then we sprayed the bright yellow on it. And this morning we got Andy Stapp that is awesome with graphics, airbrush, and anything else you need done when it comes to paint. He's gonna put a 392 and a Hemi logo on the side of that car in the charcoal stripe.
It's just a lot easier to do this with an airbrush due to overspray. We can keep small paint just inside the stencils. Sure, you could put 18-inch paper around this, do it with a paint gun. You know, even car touch-up, rock chip repair, stuff like that. The airbrush works perfect for those kind of adventures.
While all that painting was going on, the rest of the guys have been busy prepping valve covers, inner fenders, all the pieces that'll be painted separately, including a custom air cleaner designed and fabricated by John Keith.
So this week we got John Keefe that came on the green truck build, and he brought his sidekick Lane. See, you do something and you get to erase it off the board. Oh, isn't that fun?
Oh,
it's fun. Woo! I either know him or I've done a lot of research on these guys' skills to build these hot rods these quick. And Keith is one of those dudes that knows what he's doing no matter what. If it's fab, if it's paint, anything you need, he can do it for you.
I'm not really an artist, I don't guess, because it's all up here and it's hard to put it into a drawing, but I can build it.
That good? Just watch Keith sand. This looks like something off of like some space movie, doesn't it? I don't know what. Is there a planet Keith?
Keith is a metal wizard. Thanks, Keith.
After 7 coats of clear, plus baking and drying time, the car is wheeled out for more you-know-what.
We sand and sand and sand, and it's about making the owner happy. The grits on the paper will actually sand your skin down, and it's a gradual wearing off of the top layers of your skin until you see blood trail coming off onto the hood or fender or door, and at that point you change to the left hand and sand till it bleeds. Most of the time when I start sanding, we have a lot of time to think. Hummingbirds, butterflies. I think of a real tight noose sometimes, and I'm still sanding.
The views of Jason Anderson does not necessarily represent the rest of us here at Search and Restore.
That is correct.